And recording. I take it.
All right. I got some seeds in my mouth. All right. Welcome back to Leadership, guys. Great to have you. And for those of us who are watching online or who will be watching later on, great to have you with us as well. So, who wants to give us a little bit of, hey, Paulie, good to see you, mate. Don't know if you can see me. I'm waving you down. Who can give us a little bit of a recap from what we talked about last week? This is for the gold star, Joshua.
Vision casting.
Vision casting, yes. Okay, good. What is a vision?
A vision is an image or image that creates passion.
Great. A picture of the future that creates passion. All of you quickly looking at your notes, I can see. And then we did the, hey buddy, come in. Then we went through the strategic planning and we talked about, was that last week or the week before?
That was us.
That was last week? Yeah, mission goals. Oh, I thought that was the week before.
Wait, no, don't do that to me.
That was the week before. Last week we talked about
Team building.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. But that's all right. That's good. Tell me a little bit about.
Vision casting.
Tell me a little bit about team building, Irene. Anything? It's a leadership essential, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's one of the main things that we need to do. We need to recruit. We need to train. We need to empower, and we need to give feedback. Remember that? And then we talked about the difference between building a team of ministers and then building a team of leaders. And what do we look for in leadership? Sorry?
Godly character.
Yep, godly character, but we would look at that even for ministry, but that's right. What do we look specific?
Teachability.
Sorry?
Teachability.
Teachability, but once again, we would look for that in ministers as well. What are we looking for in leadership? Vision casting, right? Yeah.
The ability to identify other people.
To raise other leaders, leaders raise leaders, right? Whereas not all ministers raise leaders, right? Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Some people like some connect group leaders are absolutely brilliant at looking after their connect group. But none of their connect group want to leave their connect group and go and start another connect group because they love their connect group, right? So that is not a great leader, but they're wonderful ministers, okay? Everyone wants to be in their connect group because they feel so loved and cared for, but no one wants to leave that connect group and find another one because they haven't developed leadership in the people to go and go, come on, let's expand this, let's make this bigger. All right. So the ability to cast vision, the ability to raise leaders and train leaders. Part of that would be an ability to delegate, because if they want to do everything themselves, they're not going to raise leaders. So when you're looking for a leadership, you're going to have to look out for those things. If you put a minister, in fact, you tell me, what happens if you put a minister in a leadership position?
They can do everything themselves.
They'll do everything themselves. Yeah. And what will happen to the team?
They want to build.
The team won't build. What else?
Morale.
Morale will go down. Or he does everything. He micromanages everything. Right? What else? Will the people that you're serving be satisfied? No, because it's got to wait 6 months till I can make a meeting with Pastor Joel. No one else can make a decision around here. Right? And that's really what Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, spoke to Moses about. You know, you're exhausted, the people are unsatisfied, you're not raising any leaders, this has got a very short lifespan. He goes, you need to go from a ministry model to a leadership model, okay? That's what this whole course is about. I will keep going through this again and again and again until you get it, because at the end of this, we want to raise leaders, not more ministers, right? You can learn ministry through Pastor Peter's preaching elective. You can learn ministry through the worship team rehearsals. You can learn ministry through the Connect Group training. But I'm here to develop leaders. All right? All good? Fantastic. Okay, today we want to talk about your leadership style, discovering and developing your own leadership style. Every one of us has a unique style. Every one of us. I've got 3 sons, Levi, Noah, Micah. I can't treat all of them the same. I can't expect the same things from all of them because they're all unique. They have their own personalities. I won't name names, but one particular child, I don't have to say anything twice. He will do it. If I say, boys, stop what you're doing, dinner time. Bang, 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 dinner. Or he'll say, he'll tell his brothers off. Didn't you hear Dad? He said dinner. Let's do it now. Dad said it. Let's go. Come on. Dad said we need to be in the car at 7:30. We have to be in the car at 7:30. Dad, I cleaned my room. I brushed my teeth. I read my Bible. I've made my breakfast and I've done my lunch and I'm dressed in my uniform. And it's 7:30 in the morning. We don't leave till 8:10. Literally, there's one kid like that. I've got it. Praise Jesus. Thank God for this wonderful kid. He makes Sharon and my job so much easier. And then there's 2 others. One kid, he just like at 8 o'clock in the morning, we're leaving at 8:10. He's still in his bed, and then he get up quickly, move it. You're on dishes. You're on dishes. Go and unload the dishwasher and then load the breakfast dishes. You got 5 minutes, always having to be pushed and encouraged. The other one is another side of the spectrum where if you say something, he will push back. So if you say, come for dinner, please. You guys can have 10 minutes? Please, Dad, I want 10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes. Okay, be home by 9 o'clock. Can we be home at 9:30? Stay up. You can only stay up till 10 o'clock on the weekend. Can we stay up to 10:30? Just every single time there's a part of his personality that just pushes. So I love them all. They're all amazing kids, but they've got different personalities and different styles. Therefore, to actually bring out the best in them, if you're a parent of multiple children, you actually have to tailor-make your leadership style for each child. One style will not fit every child that you have. It's the same with church or leadership. One leadership style is not going to be used across all your employees. And sometimes people go, isn't that favoritism? No, it's not favoritism. It's actually equity. It's actually helping different ones to reach the same goals. And so you've got to change the pattern for this one because this one can stand taller. This one's a bit shorter. You need to prop them up. This one's too tall, so you need to give them a seat to sit down so that they all have similar results. And what you do is you have to cater a leadership style. Isn't that true, parents? Yeah. Okay? There's one child, if he's done something wrong, I don't even have to punish. He will know it. As soon as I say, son, he will repent, he will change, he will restore. The other one, you did something wrong. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No. Yes, you did. No. Okay, that's double punishment. Okay, no, that's triple punishment. No, that's 4 times the punishment. Literally. And you go like, it's all about responses. And we need to appropriate the right leadership style for each of them. So the question is, are you treating everybody with the same leadership style? The people in your group actually need you to be such an intuitive leader that you go, what does Lauren need? What does Josh need? What does Cosmo need? And it should be different. You can have standards. Don't get me wrong. We have a standard in our house that before you play Xbox on a Saturday, you have to wake up, you have to brush your teeth, you have to have breakfast, you have to read your Bible, then you get to play for 1 hour. All right? That's the rule. That's the standard. But one particular child needs to be reminded all the time. All right? And the other one needs consequences for disobeying, and the other one needs rewards for doing it right all the time. Do you know what I mean? You just actually need to cater a leadership plan for that person. And so a wise leader understands who's in the room, what's the task at hand, and then shifts their leadership skill and strategy to actually bring the best out of their people. Okay, so depending on which book you read, now there's quite a few books that you have to read. They use different terminologies for different leadership styles. Listen, there's actually countless, because you can never be put into a box. All right, so you just need to understand. But there are 4 general leadership styles that this course would want us to teach. And it is, number 1, motivational. So motivational leadership style would be, Martin Luther King Jr., that's a motivational leader. Gets up there, I have a dream. I mean, he just cast a vision. That's all he did. And that vision stirred people to make a difference, change laws, set people free, brought in politicians, and really the world became a better place because of his speech. He's a motivational leader. And sometimes we need to develop that gift of casting vision and motivation to bring out the best. So what sort of people need you to be a motivational leader? People without motivation. Isn't that true? Right? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. What's the point? There's no point. Oh, the world's so bad. The world's so mad. The world's so sad. Okay. What we need is a motivational leader to come in there and go, listen, you've got this in you. I believe you can do it. Stir up some passion, stir up some vision to help that person. So motivational leadership is important, right? But would you need a heavily motivational leader when everyone in the room is raring to go? At staff meetings, I don't have to constantly cast vision. I don't have to keep casting vision at Centrepoint staff meetings. If you've been a part of our staff, it's not an Amway meeting every single staff meeting, right? We're going to save souls, we're going to save souls. We're going to change the world, we're going to change the world. Right? We don't do that at Centrepoint. Why? Because it's the people in the room. I wouldn't have hired those people if I have to do that every single Tuesday. So there's a different group in the room, and if I come in not knowing the people, and I come in doing this every week, people go, oh gosh, here we go. Another pep rally from PJ. Okay, we're going to change the world, 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 then we leave. Come back in expecting, we're going to change the world, we're going to change the world. Well, hold on, we need a different style of leadership now. I'm actually dealing with mature Christians. I'm actually dealing with pastors and leaders and people of great influence, and they already have the motivation. They're already selling up everything to give their life to Christ. They're really on the altar. Now, what do they need? They need a different leadership style, right? So the next one is a teaching style. Okay, we're going to get into some teaching. We do this, then we do this, then we do this. 2 weeks, last week, when we talked about the transgender, and we talked about how we've got a transgender person in our church. We now have 2 transgender people in our church that are under 15, right? And so what we've got to realize is, okay, this is how we do it here at Centrepoint. You don't need me to go rah, rah, rah. No, you do need me to go, okay, our youth is going to talk to this person about the toilets they use. You don't get to say to them, why are you dressed up like a girl or a boy? You don't get to ask those questions. If they come to you, you get to ask those questions. We protect them this way. We protect our other youth this way, but they can't do leadership or ministry in this capacity. Remember me saying that? What am I doing? Different leadership style. I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you so that you can lead our church, right? So that's important. There are seasons in the room where we have to address stuff that requires teaching, a biblical foundation, a step-by-step, line upon line building of teaching. All right? The next one is an encouragemental style. So it's really a relational style. Come over to my house, right? What sort of situation requires that? You can either go encouragement or relational style of leadership. Okay, so what sort of environment needs that kind of teaching? Can anyone tell me? Or leading, sorry? Youth, yes, absolutely. It needs relationship, right? If you want to speak into someone's life, you need good friendship and good relationship. Connect groups, right?
Fairly small personality.
Small personality.
When I say small, sorry, I mean someone who needs a lot of encouragement to step up in leadership.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so somebody that, I think in a volunteer setting, especially relational type of leadership is important, okay? Why? Because there's no money. If your boss doesn't like you and you don't like your boss, you'll still turn up to work. Why? If you don't, you're not going to get paid. But in a church context where there's volunteers, if you don't like your pastor and your pastor doesn't like you, you're probably not going to turn up. Why? Because there's no money lost. There's nothing keeping me here unless they're biblical, godly people and they pray and God says, I want you planted here and you're going to put up with this person. Then they're going to stay. But generally people go, I feel the Lord moving me on, which basically means I don't like you or you don't like me. Okay, basically that's what it actually means. So when people say that, I go, we love you. Just want you to know we love you. God bless you. But we love you. And if you ever want to come back, you're always welcome. They go and then they find out, you know what, that I have a problem with that pastor as well. But they go, things weren't as bad back at Centrepoint, then they come back over time. So, that happens as well. So it's relational, right? It's relational because there's no money involved. There's no, if you were the leader of a host team, relationship needs to be really, really high, right? Because they're volunteering, you're volunteering. And this is where I try to help leaders to go, listen, if your team's not thriving, if there's no morale, there's no motivation, no one wants to be a part of this team, it's not because they don't feel called or they're not planted in the church or people are just lazy at this church. No, it could be your leadership. You're prickly. No one wants to hang around you. That's a bit scary because we like to blame it on the people, but it could just be, you know what? You're not very friendly or nice or smiley or hospitable or encouraging or thankful, or you don't motivate anybody. So maybe you have to change and not the whole church, right? So this is you understand what I'm talking about? It's your leadership style. So in a church context, this is really important. And the last one is a delegation style or a directive style. Josh, do this. Uncle George, do that. Luwayne, I want you to do that. And Kumar, I want you to do that. Okay? Do you know sometimes you need this? You actually need that. But what's the environment we need it for? You can tell me some environments where this sort of style would help.
I know like youth is very helpful, especially when we've got a bunch of our youth leaders together, and then like Pastor Sam goes, all right, we need this done, this, and this, and then allocates people, and we all have our own jobs.
Yeah. Sorry?
Leading
Leading leaders. Oh, I tell you what, I hate being in the room where it's all motivational style. I'm sitting there going, wasting my time. I get it. I know we do need to change this city. I know we need to change this nation. What? Tell me what to do. I want to do something. Just tell me what to do. Okay. I remember this meeting we went to, and they gathered everybody for community engagement. 120 people were there. and it was a community engagement masterclass, which, you know, we thought over lunch you're going to be talking to this person is helping the homeless, that person is in the schools, that person's doing uni work, that person's helping in hospitals. This is going to be so cool, right? People are there from all these different ministries, but the leader did not read the room. She spoke for 45 minutes from the Bible about why we need to have community engagement in the church. She's got a room full of community engagement, passionate people who've traveled to Mandurah, paid money to be in a lunch, to be with all these other people, and she gave them 15 minutes to talk and share and take each other's numbers and find out what each person's, you know what I mean? Just a misread of the leadership situation, and therefore a misread of the leadership style. All right? So you've got good leaders that misread the situation and end up causing more harm. And so that's not a, there is a time for directive leadership. Do you know when that is? In a church setting, after you've built a relationship. I walk in here, don't know any of you. I go, okay, you do children's ministry. I want you to do this or that. You do that and I'll do that. And I walk out of here. You're going to go, who is that guy? You can't tell me how to do that. But if I've had you over and I've shared my heart and you trusted me and you hear my voice and you know my family and you've been loved by the church and you feel like, you know, you're cared for here. Can you please do that? Can you please do that? Can you please do that? And they're out. You know, we have lots of meetings during a Tuesday. And there's certain part of the meetings that it's all directive. I mean, Kumar's seeing a little bit more of this now. He'll muck around, 15 minutes ago. I want this done, I want that done, I want that done, I want that done, I want that done, meeting closed. Right? And no one goes, oh, they all go, good. I've got some strong leadership. I know what I need to do and I'll go and do it and get it done. Okay? So it depends on the situation. It depends on the read of the leader for you to then shape your style to make it adequate to the situation. Here's a question. What style of leadership do you think you most represent? And what style of leadership do you like to be under? So I told you about me. I like directive. Okay. What's my style of leadership? I would say relational directive. Generally. Hence our staff lunches. Loud, noisy, ha 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 ha. Let's get things done. All right. So that's just me. Pastor Peter is a teacher. He's a teacher, he's a great leader, but he's a teacher and he inspires, you know, and he also delegates really well. What about you? What's your style of leadership? Who'd like to share? Luwayne? You have 4 to choose from. You can do a nice blend of both. Or 2.
So, probably teaching.
Yeah, teaching style. Okay, good. Encouragement, good.
Probably encouragement and directive.
Yeah, good.
Or
Encouragement, good.
I'd be probably directive as well.
Yeah,
encouragement.
okay, good. Uncle George?
Motivational and dedication.
Absolutely. And we need all these. Can you see how we need it? We need to be able to read the room, but generally we have a right arm and a left arm. Right arm is what we're stronger at, and a left arm is something that we work on to, depending if you're right-handed or left-handed. You know, but it's so important that we understand that we have to read the room, we've got to read the situation. So what happens if a leader is more competent? What styles would you be heading towards when you've got a more competent leader compared to a new leader? Sorry? More directive, right? So, you know, for me, if Pastor Peter's in the room, or Pastor Taryn, or Pastor Joe, I don't have to say to them, okay, teaching, I want you to start by opening the service with this, and then I want you to do this, then I want you to do this, then I want you to do that, then I want you to do that. I just say, run the service. Then they have a lot more scope because of their competence, because of their experience, because of their ability, because of their training, because of their years of fruitfulness. I can trust them. But just say, I've got a new person on staff, you know, and I say, just run that service. They're going to feel like I've dumped it on them. They're going to feel overwhelmed, right? That's bad. That's bad leadership, not on their part. What do you mean you can't run a service? I've never run a service before, right? That's the wrong leadership style for that person. I needed to be more teaching, right? And probably to build a relationship, I also needed a bit more relational, so they know how to do what I've asked them to do and what I'm seeing in my head and my heart. So sometimes, in most cases, we see these things and we blame the other person. I told them to do this and they didn't do a good job. But we don't stop to go, did I use the right read of the situation? Did I use the right strategy? Did I use the right leadership style to bring out the best? And maybe if I go back to that person and tweak my style, I could get a better result. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And this is what I want you to challenge yourself. It's not always their fault. Maybe it was your fault. Maybe you can grow as a leader. Because what we tend to do is if someone doesn't do well, we cut them off. I'm never using that person. I'm never going to ask Lauren to do that again. I'm never going to ask Cosmo to do that again. I asked them and they didn't do it. You know what? They're lazy, they're bad, they're this, they're that, they're not for the vision, they're not 100%. Hold on. Maybe the way I asked them I didn't use the right leadership style to awaken something in them. All right? And so we have the Easter Man of Sorrows production. And it's quite funny because, and I said to all our key leaders, I want you to encourage people to be a part of it. No one. There's only a handful that signed up through the news and everything like that. I said, come on, pastors, I want you to find people, identify the right people, and then get them to audition. No one. And I go, I've asked everybody. A lot of them, we asked everybody. They're just not interested. They're just not interested. I just got on the phone, called up 7 people, got 4 of them to sign up. They did a brilliant job. It's going to be a brilliant production, right? The reason is, it's actually the leadership style. You know, they weren't sure. So what do they need? They need a bit of motivation. Come on, you know, they also need a little bit of teaching. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to be like this, then it's going to be like that. It's not this much commitment. It's only these rehearsal dates. This is all I'll need you for. I don't need you to memorize huge lines. You can be a tree, not really, an extra, you know. And all these people then started coming through and signing up and audition because of the leadership style we used to bring the best response. So I asked you, what's your strongest leadership style? What is the leadership style that you respond best to? That's the next question. Irene? What is, sorry? Directive. You like to be, told, Luane? Directive as well? So you don't mind if someone just comes in and goes, Yeah? Okay.
Directive.
Right?
Most of the time I have people that be like, what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I do? And they're like, and then that gets me to, not angry, but it's like I'm here to serve. Tell me what to do and send me off.
Okay, Lauren?
Can I say I'd be a little bit of everything?
Yeah, of course. Okay, fair enough. Anything in particular though? That gets you going?
Probably motivational then, because I like to have a clear vision. I
Mm.
guess that sort of ties back into the passion. We talk about that comes with vision. And when it's clear, I can do whatever you need me to do.
Yeah.
And I can do it. I can see the needs myself.
That's right. So you
Yeah,
don't need the directive so much, you need the motivation and the
maybe
understanding.
even a lot of the teaching a little bit on that.
Sure.
And I think values will be seen. So.
Great, great. At least you're noticing these things, right? Because you've got to work out how you work out, and then you've got to work out how others work out. Josh?
Mine would probably be a combination of relational teaching and motivation. Having that, knowing the vision of
Yeah.
the leader, and then them being able to teach me and help me grow me, be in like
Good.
something like that.
Excellent. Okay. So I guess the other big thought in this whole thing is individual concern. We're saying everyone is not the same. We're saying that there's something that brings out the best in you, but there's something different that'll bring out the best in you. And this is where we actually need to depend on the Holy Spirit, because you actually need discernment. You actually need wisdom to actually go, okay, the current model is not working. The current style is not working. Lord, I'm struggling with this leader. I can't get him motivated. I'm struggling with this child. I can't get him out of bed. I'm struggling with this child who's always rebellious. Hey, give me some wisdom on how to change that. With that rebellious child of mine, you know what it was? Relationship. Going for one-on-one walks when I didn't want to go for walks at the end of the day at 9 o'clock at night. Do you want to go for a walk? Yes. And then in the walk, we'll walk for an hour from 9 to 10:30 at night sometimes, and they'll chat. After that, the next time I say, can you clean your room, they'll do it, at least for 1 week, until another walk, right? And so it's just asking the Lord for some strategy on how to get those people on board. Don't write people off. Don't write people off. You just haven't found the God strategy yet. The people that are not committed in your teams, don't write them off. Don't go, oh, they're always never going to be committed. They never turn up to their right. Hold on, do your best. Ask God for a new strategy and just watch, because a new strategy will change the heart and make a massive difference. Okay. Look, the other big thing is to realize not only the people that changes your leadership style, but the complexity of the task at hand. That's a, do you know what I mean? So I was meeting up with, as I mentioned in our staff meeting last week, the largest churches in the state. And I've got friendship with a few of them. They trust me at least, or there's enough respect there for them to gather and listen to me. But the complexity of the task at hand is, how do we change or stop evil bill from being passed in our state? That's a complex bill. A lot of the people around that room, they said, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. So in that sense, I can't use just the motivational style, because that's what got them into the room. They heard the thing, they're already on board. So we did a teaching. Okay, now we need a directive. Here's what we're going to do. And so you just need to realize the complexity of the task will also determine the leadership style that we use. All right? I think that's all when it comes to leadership styles. Does anyone want to add anything going around the room? Any thoughts that you've got as I was sharing then? No?
I have one.
Go. Or questions?
So if you have a leadership style, at some point when exhausted all, and I understand where you're coming from, don't write people off. But how would that, if you need to manage someone to encourage, from leadership perspective, using all three, and they're not getting there, quite there, you keep going, at what point do you say, okay, this is enough?
Yeah. Okay, so when I say don't write people off, what happens if they want to be written off? Right? They're not going to change. If you've done everything you can, then consider getting in another leader. The number of times I thought, you know what, I've done everything with this person, I've done everything. And then I go, you know what, Pastor Taryn, I'm sick of this person, I can't do anything with them. She'll go in there and all of a sudden, or Sharon will go in there, or Pastor Peter, or Pastor Joe, and they're like serving and they're thriving. And we've actually seen that time and time again, where someone has left one campus and were a real, let's just say, a weight on the campus pastor, where to the point when they left the campus and went to another church, the campus pastor is almost relieved. Thank you, Jesus. I don't have to put up with their whinging, whining all the time. I know it sounds horrible, but just being honest, right? Okay. And they've gone to the other campus, and that person has become an amazing leader. And it could be a different season in their life, but often it's the new style of the campus pastor that has awakened something in them, right? But then there's been some people that have gone to all 3 campuses and left after 6 months here, 9 months there, 1 year there, and now left the next church that they've gone to as well. So what I'm trying to say is, if you've done everything you can, get somebody else to try and lead them or put them under someone else's team so that they can do something. But we've got to start taking responsibility for our leadership style and looking at things very, very closely. Good question. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
No, one thing that as you talk about that, I volunteered with St. John for years, and the one thing I think you see with volunteers is that in everything that you do, I would feel that encouragement and relational would almost be something you would have to have everything you do.
That's right.
Because, like you said, people aren't getting paid. It's really hard to motivate people who are volunteers.
That's right.
Unless they're like really, really passionate. A lot of people you tend to see will want to help, but they don't always have that full-on passion in that. And so to draw them in, you've really got to show that you value them. Because
That's right.
If you don't value them, they're gone in 2 seconds.
That's right.
Because I think every person wants to be valued no matter what.
That's right. That's exactly right. Beautiful. So there's always, so please don't see any of this as one star and one lane. You literally, I'm saying, use this like a bag of tools. And right now, I need directive. They're good. I think we need to work on relational right now. So, they don't know what we're doing or building. Okay, it's time for some motivation. There's some vision, and you're swapping between these bag of tools, okay? Look, there's different words for them. There's the directive style, there's a coaching style, there's a supporting style, there's a delegating style. They use different leadership styles. So you'll hear a whole heap of different terms, but generally it's these 4 styles, but they can be broken down and divided even more. Okay, we're gonna...
One question.
Yes, please.
You said coaching style, what? Coaching.
Coaching. Sorry, not coaching.
Sorry,
coaching. So yeah, a coaching style is a bit more like a teaching style. So where you're walking with the person and you're coaching them, you're helping them do step by step and improve. So a directive, coaching, supporting, and delegating is another 4 ways that people describe leadership style. But there's so many different leadership styles. The biggest thing is understanding individual concern, understanding the complexity of the task, and changing it up. If that style is not working, try something new. If that style is not working, ask the Lord to give you discernment on how to unlock that person's heart. That's the most important thing when it comes to leadership style. Don't go, look, I'm bossy. That's just me. Get over it. Have you heard something like that before? Have you?
That's just me, I hate that.
Yeah.
Well, that's just dumb. That is just bad leader 101, because it's selfish, it's unchanging, it doesn't have any discernment, it doesn't exude the Spirit of Christ. All right, we go, hold on. That says, I'm the leader, you're nothing, you serve me. But hold on, that's not the way we're supposed to lead. right? We're supposed to serve. So for me to serve you is to actually awaken you to your full destiny. For me to do that, I'm going to need to change my leadership style, hear from God to help you bloom. Cool? All right, we're going to have a break. And any more questions? Sorry, did I miss a question or a thought?
You mentioned textbook or books that we could read on this. Is that a textbook for these?
There should be attached to your readings list, there should be a number of chapters on situational leadership, individual concern, and leadership styles
Okay.
in your curriculum, in your reading list, if you want to find out more. Because I do think it's, if leadership's going to be your future, and it is for everyone in the room, whether it's leading your kids, then you should actually have some insight into your style of leadership, other styles of leadership. I like sitting back and watching leaders and go, how did he do that? How did she do that? You know what I mean? Like, that was motivational and teaching, but yet so directive. There's someone said to me, oh, your wife preached such a great message yesterday. It was like a hug, a slap, and a hug. All right, so she went, I didn't hear the word, but yesterday when I did relate, apparently Sharon with all grace came, hugged you, slapped you, hugged you, and you go, wow, that's good leadership. She read the room, she heard from God, and the message obviously impacted that person. So we've got to understand that God wants to use us to open up people's hearts, and we actually need to look at using different leadership styles and not say, this is who I am, don't like it, too bad, go find somebody else, whatever. No, we don't do that. Okay? I'm going to give you a break for 10 minutes at 8 minutes. So you can quickly go to the bathroom, get a coffee, tea. At 1:50, we're going to come back here, and then we're going to go till 2:20. All right? Go. Lauren, what time would you have to leave to pick up the kids?
22 later.
22 later. Oh, so if we finish at 2:20, is that okay? And then if people have questions or whatever, they can, and you can head on. All right.
We had a paramedic that came in, Tom Price, not long after I started with St John, young sort of guy. Nice enough at first, and then he just came in gung-ho, and it was like the whole place needed a shake up. There were a lot of people being in their leadership roles for a long period of time. The newbies coming in were just, they were dictated to, this is what you're allowed to do. Oh, we won't call you the priority one because you're not ready. And that's not actually the way that it's actually meant to run. And he's coming in like, right, we're going to change that. Started to like, this doesn't look good. He actually lost those, they actually stopped volunteering. They didn't like completely stop being volunteers, they just stopped going on the roster in protest to him.
Yep.
And stayed that way until he left.
That's exactly right.
And as soon as he left, they were back on the roster the next week, but they just did the absolute minimum to keep them in there. And they were the highest trained volleys that we had up there.
Wow.
But because he just was arrogant about it all, it was not. Yeah, and even and regional management were made aware of it. There's no direction from them, and he was never challenged on it, no matter how many times it was taken to them. They just tend to let the paramedics go and not deal with stuff.
Yeah.
And unless it gets to a point where they absolutely have to legally. Yeah, it was bad.
Seen it so many times.
It's funny though.
Seen it so many times.
But sometimes that's what's required, right, PJ? Sometimes some organisation or group or team, I know this phrase, especially coming from corporate, it becomes such a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need someone, exactly you mentioned, to come in to rock the boat, shake the tree, to get some change going, because if not, then there's a bit of a cultural
Yeah.
problem.
And but there's a wisdom in
There
change.
is, yes.
That's what we're going to talk about next. We're actually talking about decision making and bringing in change.
Ooh.
So,
But in that situation, the paramedic model up there had just come in as community paramedics. So these people were in leadership roles there, doing all the training and everything for such a long period of time without being overseen other than by regional officers. And then they put this new model in with these community paramedics, and they were no longer the real training. So they had that actually taken off them.
right.
And then you got this guy come in and be like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you'll do as you're told type of thing, and they just went stuck.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
They're your own thing.
So yes, there is a wisdom.
Absolutely.
Can't do it properly.
Really?
Can't do it. I don't know why I've tried a couple of times and I just, even when I get to drinks, coffee and it's sleep on. I can't finish it. I can say I really finish a coffee, it'll always be like, yeah, no, not a fan.
All right, 3 minutes to go. Don't stay seated and then fall asleep when I'm speaking. I have to admit, you guys are probably one of the most quietest class I've had in 7 years.
Oh, really?
Does that mean the most respectful?
No, just quietest.
You want more?
I like more. I used to make sure last time after every class, everyone had to say something. Tell me either a question or something you're taking in from this, or it made you think about something, or you have a story to back it up. But this class is a little bit more quiet, so maybe I might have to force you guys to talk in a directive
I
way.
know we're sort of time constricted, so I'm trying to say.
Oh, I'm so keen for
Would you like a,
Crucify.
come on, amen?
No, it's more in the discussion time. Yeah. But I've never done a class between 1 and 3. They normally give me 2 and 4. 1 o'clock's a horrible time for a class.
Just after lunch.
I think we should do it like both, like after stuff. Last week, that was good. Like,
Yeah, like straight after.
yeah,
And do lunch during it, so you finish earlier.
lunch after.
Yeah, I had a bit more.
It had
You're awake, you're
momentum.
still hungry.
It had momentum. You're not coming back after a break and
Yeah.
trying to get back into it. It was bang, 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 then break.
Sure.
And then we had worship for the next session.
Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't know that. All right, we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to give you homework, and next week you need to do this homework because I will ask you in 2 weeks' time. I'm not here next week. I'm going to be in Sydney, but in 2 weeks' time I'm going to come back. I do not want the answer. I didn't do the homework because I will tell you off. You cannot be lazy and not do the homework in the class. All right? The homework is very simple. You need to sit with one of your leaders, and all you need to do is say, hey, Talk to me about one weakness in my current leadership style that I need to improve on. You sit with your leader, whoever it is. Doesn't have to be a senior pastor, because I won't probably be here to do that for you. It doesn't have to be your campus pastor. Somebody that is in leadership over you, and say, hey, listen, you've seen me work. What is one area of improvement or one area of weakness in my current leadership style, in the way I'm dealing with things? Good leaders realize that they don't see their flaws. All right? Really, really important to realize that. One of the best things about Pastor Peter, Taryn, Joe, is they always go, give me feedback. Tell me, how did I go? Pastor Peter will make appointments with me simply to ask me, how am I doing? What area do I need to improve on? What am I not seeing? What am I not communicating? How am I coming across in my communication? Do you know what I mean? And so can I just encourage you, it takes humility, firstly. You don't get angry with them when they tell you the truth, so don't react badly, all right? But just sitting with them and say, hey, listen, I want to grow in my leadership. I'm doing a leadership course. You've seen my leadership style. What do I need to improve on? And that person might say, well, it's none of those four, it's your organizational skills. Okay, cool. You think I'm unorganized? Fine, I hate you. I'm leaving this shit. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you need to sit down and go, if you really sense that, I need to work on that. You love me. I'm putting myself under you and you're highlighting. Can you give me an example? Okay. You mean I don't respond to the SMSs that you sent me? Yeah, okay. I can work on that. I need to get more organized that way, right? I'm leading a millennial connect group, 18 to 21-year-old boys. Let me tell you, it's difficult for a 44-year-old person who has got many hundreds of leaders under them and state leaders, and I feel like when I send a text, I expect to be respected enough to have a yep, no, a thumbs up, a heart shape, or a callback. But these guys just don't respond. There's no, yep, I'll be there, and it boils my blood. Now, if they ask me, how can I improve my leadership? I'd say, you know what? You need to work on that. You need to work on that, because that's free. That's free for you, right? Because I literally say to people in my staff, I can't promote you until you get that organized. No leader wants to be disrespected and not listened to. All I need you to say is, I hear you, right? If you do something wrong and I tell you, hey, you did that, not great, you need to improve on that. Here's the other thing I say to them, don't give me excuses. I hate that. If you did a bad job with the sermon and I say to you, hey, listen, I think you need to do more preparation because that sermon was a little bit weak. Oh, but you don't understand. I'm not asking really for your opinion on why you failed it. I want you to go, I hear you and I will improve on that. Can you help me? Can you show me? Can you teach me? Can you walk with me? I'm all yours. But the moment, just ask poor Pastor Sam and a few other younger guys that have come on staff and they've come in with a rebuttal, a defensive, and this is where they started, many, many months, years ago. I'm like, don't even start. I want to hear, I won't do that again. Can you help me? Not, here's why I did the wrong thing and it's okay. It's never okay. So that's a teaching thing that you teach these guys. And now, as soon as I say it, it's stuff that they do to put things into place. They don't, and because the response is so different, because that's humility and teachability, the next time they come and say, I'm so sorry about that. Hey, I'm like, listen, when you said, I'm sorry the first time, it's finished. Why are you bringing it up? No, you're great. You're doing a good job. I'm glad you're putting that on. be repentant, be teachable, don't make excuses, respond to text messages. These are all simple leadership style things that convey respect, convey honor, right? And so I think that's really important. But what I'm asking you to do is to sit with your leader for 5 minutes. Okay, listen, no big deal. But I've got homework that's due in 2 weeks' time from Pastor Joel. He's going to ask every single person, what did your leader say? What did your leader say is an area of improvement in your leadership style? What is an area, rather than saying a leadership weakness, I'd say an area of improvement. Let's put it in a positive spin. Okay? This is how I can improve my leadership. This is how I can get more out of the gift of God on my life. Cool? 2 weeks' time, not next Tuesday, the following Tuesday. What will happen to the student that says, I did not do it? No actual smack, but I am telling you, I am telling you, I will not be happy. So you must make sure that you do it. Okay? There's no excuse. Do it next week. And if you know working with me, I do expect you to do the homework. Cool? All right. Let's talk about decision-making, communication, and bringing change. There's quite a few things there because it's actually 2 subjects. It's supposed to be just decision-making and communication. But I'm going to add bringing change because while you guys were having a bit of a break, Kumar and Lauren had a great discussion about how when a new leader comes in, right? She had an experience is it Tom Price? Yeah. Where a new leader came in and with the paramedics and shook everything up, and people got so upset and they all left and they stopped volunteering or they didn't put their heart into it. And the leadership style of this person was strong and directive and, I don't care what you think, we're doing it this way, And so the result of that sort of leadership style, right? Sometimes it'll be good, but depending on the people in the room, depending on the situation on hand, this one had a bad result, okay? Too directive, too strong, no relationship. They were volunteers. That's the context. He used the wrong leadership style. He'll be sitting there going, how come no one's volunteering? They're all lazy, they're all bad, they're all this. No, he should look at himself and change. Then Kumar came up with, but hold on, there's some times where you need a strong directive leader to come in and shake the tree, change the culture, right? And it's true, especially if there's a bad culture and a negative culture. But I believe you can do that, strong leadership, but coupled with some other leadership styles, you can take people along the journey. You can't take everyone along the journey, but you can take people along the journey with you. And so bringing change is a leadership essential. You need to know how to take people from here to there and at least taking a majority of the people with you. All right? So bringing change is really, really important. I've had people say things like, they've taken on a church, a pastor's taken on a church, and half the church has left. Oh, good riddance. I'm glad they're gone. Since they've left, the Spirit of God is moving even more. There's only 5 people, you and your family in the church now. That's why the Spirit's moving, but this mindset, and they go, but you know what, it's so good, it's so good. I'm like, well, I don't think it is. Because you haven't brought change well. You may have changed it, but you basically killed it, and then you started something fresh. But it takes another level of sensitivity, discernment, wisdom to bring about change, okay? And that is a gift. How do you bring change? From all the different skills and things that we've been learning over the last few weeks, I'll say, okay.
The direction of which way you're going to go.
Yes. So how? Okay. So you need to start off firstly with vision, right? And we took over a Rise Church in 2010 in Thornley Senior High School, which is now our Maddington campus. It was a church that we planted in 2008 autonomously, and then in 2010 they came back under our covering. The leader left. The church was very, very small, very, very insular. Some pretty negative cultures in there, you know. How do you bring change? Going in there and saying, okay, that's bad. We're going to turn things around, right? We're going to make this awesome. We are good. You're bad. Out with the old, in with the new. So we've got to make sure we cast vision, but also communicate the vision in a way that honors the past, right? But points to the future, right? Vision is a picture of the future. So rather than going in there and saying all the past is bad, we need to communicate about the future. We need to make sure we use the right words. We honor the past, but here's where we're going. What's the next thing? We need to be inclusive. I'm not taking the church this way by myself. God's called us. God, we need you. We need you. We need you. Together, we're going to build this house to see what God, thank God for that pastor and what he's done to establish this church. Don't need to highlight all the faults of his leadership, all the bad culture. Don't need to do that. That's not the place to do it. But we're going to start building this. We're going to start building this together. Okay? Inclusive relationship, right? The church was about 40 people. I literally went to every single influencer. If you want to bring change, always start with the most influential people in the room. So at that time, I went up to Peter and Eudora, who were in that church. Went up to Rob and Heidi Moffat in that church. Went up to Rachel Go in that church. As Stephen Anquar just went up to individuals, had coffee with them, told them, we want you in this church. We want you to support Sharon and I, and slowly won these people in relationship, set out a vision for the next step rather than the next 17 years, right? And took them on this journey by communicating, loving, slowly, step by step. Do you know what? We took that church and all those people, bar maybe 4 families, on a journey with us. Now, many of those people, and I've mentioned the names, are key leaders at Centrepoint Church. Because of that, Pastor Taryn was one of those people as a young girl in that church, 11 years ago. Robin, Heidi, as I mentioned, all those names. And so you can take people on a new direction, okay? But how you do it needs sensitivity, needs discernment, wisdom. In those cases, relationship, one-on-one. Do you know what? Now, I don't have to meet one-on-one with all those leaders. Now I can just give directives. Why? Because we've got the relationship. So bringing change is an art, and leaders must learn to do it well. Every situation is different and must be discerned by God. You need to hear from God. How do I change? What's the first thing I need to do? What's the next thing I need to do? And so often when I'm about to bring about a change, I do a Nehemiah trick. I walk around the city. Have you read the book of Nehemiah? Okay, you need to. Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah is a brilliant leadership, insightful Christian leaders. You must read Nehemiah. It's so easy to read. It's only a few chapters, but here's a guy that is sent to transform a city, and it's a mess. There's opposition, there is destruction, there is disunity, and he is able to build the city. And the way he does it is he goes there and he walks around the city and he notices. Nehemiah, by the way, is in the Bible. It's the whole book of Nehemiah in the Bible. He walks around the city and he examines the ruins. He notices what resource is there, what resource is not there, right? So he walks around, and for many, many days, he examines. So before he goes in and he changes everything, he goes to the Lord, and the Lord says, walk around the city and look at it all, check it all out. Before you bring about any change, You must have the eyes of the Lord examine the thing that you have, what resources there, what is strong, what can still be used, what needs change, right? Then he casts vision and he communicates, and what he does so brilliantly is he gathers everybody. The perfume makers build one side of the wall. The doctors build another side of the wall. The Levites build another side of the wall. The merchants build another side of the wall. This guy sees who's in the room and he uses different leadership styles to gather everybody together, and they build the wall of Jerusalem. Really great story. Check it out. It will definitely inspire you when it comes to leadership style and to bringing change. All right? This is an art. Spend your life developing the skills here to take people on a journey to bring change. Decision-making, communication. I think it's an essential. Have you ever been with a leader who hasn't made an important decision, and their lack of decision-making skills is causing the church or the organization problems? Right? People who are scared to make a decision because they may make the wrong one, or if they make that decision, people aren't going to like them, they're bad leaders. This is an essential skill to actually make a decision and act it out. If you can't do that, prolonging the wait is going to cause more harm. I actually had a pastor that his board sacked him because he found that the youth pastor was having a relationship with one of the youth. The youth pastor was already married. And so basically he knew about it, but he didn't know what to do about it. He loved the youth pastor like his own son. He knew that if he brought it up, the church may split because so many people loved the youth pastor and he was a co-preacher. And so he had this really tough decision. So what did he do? He sat on it. He didn't do anything until one elder had more leadership than the senior pastor and said, if you don't sort this out, I'm going to tell all the elders. He still sat on it. So the elders gathered together, and this guy said, this youth pastor who is preaching is sleeping with one of the youth leaders. He's also married, and more than that, the senior pastor knows and has kept it hidden. Church splits. Elders kick out the senior pastor, kick out the youth pastor. You can imagine the devastation. Why? Now the senior pastor said, but I was just being pastoral. No, he was avoiding making a tough decision. Okay? My encouragement to leaders is make a decision. People want you to make a decision. People need you to make a decision. They go, well, what if I make the wrong decision? Okay. So what we do is we make a decision and we limit the possibility of it going wrong. You won't always go 100 out of 100%, right? But what you've got to do is before you make that decision, you must limit the possibility of making the wrong decision. How do you do that? How do you limit the possibility of making the wrong decision? Don't make it on your own, right? Wisdom is found in the midst of many counselors. Before you gung-ho, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to write to every politician and tell them, we are not going to, I quickly called Peter up here. I'm feeling God saying this, what do? You need to do this, okay, but you need to check this out. Call Julian, who's a lawyer at Kingdom City. Hey, what do you think? Yes, you need to do that, but you need to check this out. Call Nick Goran, Senator. Hey, Senator Nick, I'm really feeling I should gather the churches. Okay, but you need to think about this thing. Call the ACC national PR person. Hey, listen, I've written this letter. What do you think of this? Well, you need to do this, and get the counsel and the wisdom of other people, experts in their feel. Hear people's advice. Don't react on emotion. Start by gathering your data sources to make a wise decision. Be teachable, okay? And so with that is really, really important advice from the Bible as to who your counselors are. Look at the people that you've gathered around you to counsel you and ask yourself, would you like to be in their situation in 3 years' time? I find it really, really surprising that people will take finance advice from people who haven't done well financially. I find it really ridiculous that people will get parenting advice from people whose kids are not following the Lord, or get counseling from somebody that doesn't believe in the Lord. Or, do you know what I'm talking about? 3 years' time, would you like to be them? No? Then don't ask them for advice on that area. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important who you bring around you. Okay, we see the story of Solomon's son, Rehoboam. Okay, the Bible says the people came up to him and says, asked him for a decision, lighten our load. What does he do? He gathers the wise leaders that helped his dad, Solomon, the wisest man on the earth. I mean, he picked wise people. If they were the counselors of Solomon, they would have been wise people, because Solomon's no dummy, and he wouldn't have gathered dummies to give him wisdom, right? So he gathers these wise people. Rehoboam asks them, what should I do? And they give him this advice. Hey, listen, serve the people, love the people, build their trust, and then they will serve you your whole life. Then he goes, I don't know if I like that. He calls his mates, all his friends, the young advisors who've never led a country, never led, what do you reckon? They go, you know what? You tell the people, you think my dad was tough. Well, if you think my dad was tough, my little finger is thicker than my dad's whole waist. He beat you with this, I'm going to beat you with this, right? And he goes, oh, that sounds good. Stupid man. Anyway, he loses 10 tribes of Israel, right? Because of the advisors. The advisors. So pick carefully who your advisors are. Pick your data sources carefully. Don't always listen to the same streams. Okay? Try to listen to the other side of the fence. Try to listen to somebody that's contradicting or saying something different, so you can try to at least understand why they think the way they do. Okay, conversion therapy bills coming up. It would be silly for me to go, we're anti-conversion therapy. I'm not listening to anybody on that side. I'm not going to find out why the Greens are pushing it. I'm not going to find out why Labor is pushing it. I just know I'm just going to do this. I need to find out, what are they saying? What's their motivation? They're not evil, right? They're pushing something because they think it's right. What are they thinking is right? Well, they're thinking conversion therapy is sticking electrodes on innocent people who are coming out as gay, lesbian, whatever, and forcing them to be somebody they're not. Can I just tell you, I'm against that. So rather than fighting them, I want to let them know I'm also against coercive conversion therapy. I don't want to force anybody to do anything they don't want to. If they want to live that lifestyle, then you know what, man, the Lord bless them, speak to them, touch them, save them. That's got nothing to do with me. But I'm not going to let you change my religious freedoms. So I say yes to this, no to that. I'm going to try to, hear the advisors, hear the wisdom that's around there in order to make a right decision. Can you imagine if we just said, that's it, no conversion therapy? What's the government going to say? Absolutely not. You guys are barbaric, typical church, hates people, hates the gays, say no to everything. No, that's not the right way to deal with this situation. We need to have wisdom. We need data sources, right? And so that's where we got these wisdom coming from churches and lawyers and ACL and all that. So gather your data sources, right? Then ask the Lord for wisdom. If anyone lacks wisdom, what should they do? What does the Bible tell us? James chapter 1. If anyone lacks wisdom, he should ask the Lord, who gives generously. Can I be honest with you? This is one of the prayers I pray the most as a leader, because I don't know how to lead our church as it continues to grow. I don't know how to lead our church now that it has an online service and people all over the world can watch this and they're recording my sermons and they can pick faults in every single thing I say. I don't know, how to run a church that's ministering to other churches, running the state, running the national, running on the 4th campus. I don't know how to run a church that's now influencing other churches as we influence the government. I need wisdom. But thank God for his promise that he says, if you lack it and you ask it, he will give it. Don't doubt it. Okay? Do not be like one that doubts at the way to and fro. He promised he's going to give it. Therefore, I'm going to get it, but I need to ask wisdom. Then make a courageous, kind decision. Courageous and kind. What do I mean? Both courageous means you're going to have to do the hard yards, but where possible, be as kind as possible. Okay, that leader, that youth pastor committed adultery, I'm going to have to make a decision. I can't have you preach. I can't have you lead our youth group. I can't have you speak into our children and reproduce that. But I can still be your pastor. I can still meet with you. I can still give you marriage counseling. I can still look after your kids. I can still, that's kind. Right? So we need to be courageous and make the tough decisions, and we still need to be kind. And that's the way you limit the possibility of making a wrong decision. Sometimes in leadership, you need to understand that there is no right decision. This is hard. There's no right decision. There's only a more right decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make that decision anyway. But I don't know which one to choose. Okay, which one is more godly? It's not completely godly. Okay, good example. I'm going to stir some feathers. Donald Trump, Joe Biden. What's the right decision? Okay? So what does the US do? Some people go, I'm not going to vote. Neither of them right. Okay? Then the question, Kanye. So then the question is, what's more right? Is that true? Now, I'm not telling you what the answer is. That's my perspective and my conscience and according to what I believe. You have to go, what's more right in this situation? What is wrong is pastors then going, this decision, even though it's only a little bit more right than the other one, is God's decision. Anointed by God, it's God's Spirit, God spoke to me. I think now you've just gone from a little bit more right to a heck of a lot less right, because you shouldn't have said that. You could vote that, You could teach people how to vote in regards to, here's what the Bible says, then vote according to your biblical convictions, but focus on what you're supposed to do and not control people, because that was a big step back. So now all these pastors have to repent on public, all these prophets that got it wrong and said all this stuff. So you just need to understand, I'm not choking for some emotional. All right. So once you've made the decision, you've gathered data sources, you've asked the Lord for the wisdom, and you've been courageous and kind, the next step is to communicate it. Who do you start with when it comes to communicating a decision? Same as bringing change, who do you start with? Always start with the influencers, okay? Always start with the influencers, and then go down according to influence. So this guy took on a church recently and he goes, Pastor Joel, I don't know if they like me in the church, but they voted me in. He goes, what do I do? I said, get a list of your leaders, sit down with the ex-pastor. Okay, who's your leaders? Okay, who's your leader of leaders? Okay, who's your leader of leaders? They may not even have a title, but when they're in the room, everyone's looking at them to see what they think. All right, next week, you start with the top 5. Following week, you do 6 to 12. Following week, sit down, you have coffee, you win them over. Then give me a call and tell me how'd you go. 2 weeks later, he calls me, Pastor Joel, they've all voted me in, and they're all happy, they're all staying, they're all da-da-da. I said, because the thing is, they just needed to know you. You need to use a relational style rather than if you don't like it, too bad, the board have voted me in, you don't like it, leave. I said, you know, even the person that voted against you, sit with them, share your heart with them. You don't have to cut them off. You can win them over, right? And so that's actually what he's gone and done because he's a good leader. Questions? We are now 1 minute over. We've got 9 minutes of questions. You all have to have either a question, a comment, or a story. Otherwise, you lose your gold star. Who would like to start? Joshua. You look down to have a pick at me. Anything there that resonates, thoughts, opinions?
I really like the how to bring a change and limiting the possibility of it going wrong. Kind of like those two really speak to me.
Brilliant. Good. Uncle George, would you like to say anything?
In terms of, counsel, in the multitude of counsel, the safety, which is very, very good, to make a decision and to communicate the decision. But a lot of the times, over the years, what I've noticed is, this is what God said to me. And then later on you find it that, it's going another direction.
Yes. Yeah. So
Especially with the leaders that are very, I think God said me, and then you can't argue it or you can't.
That's right. That's right.
Reason with them or anything.
That's a real problem.
It's a big problem.
When people say to me, God's told me I have to leave, it says no humility, doesn't understand authority, not interested in my opinion. Okay, thank you for coming. God bless you. See you later. When you say God told me, unless you audibly heard God's voice,
Yes.
don't say it.
Yes.
There's too many pastors that flick God said, God said, God said, God said. And I just think, can you imagine God going, oh my goodness, not again. I never even opened my mouth. They're putting stuff into God's mouth to win the approval of other people or to, it's like name dropping, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't say that. We don't say God told us to plant a campus in Kwinana. He never did. He told us to go into all the world and preach good news. There's an opportunity in Kwinana. There's a need there. There's people. And guess what? We're going to give it a red hot go. Now, when we prayed about it, God didn't shut the door. He didn't say, no, don't do it. There was never an obstruction to it. But, so we've had a green light. I like to say green lights is go. Okay? But I won't say God said it had to be. Now, when I have heard things like that there's been moments, very clear moments when it's to go from 1 campus to 2 campus and the Lord said, you will double this year. Wow. Okay? I knew that was God and I told my elders, we'll double this year. Next thing I know, Thornley comes up and says, here you go. And the elders goes, that's the word. Absolutely. That's the word. We know it's God. Yes. Right? But most times we give it a red hot go because God's made a green light. Right? So really, really important that we don't put the God card because you know what? For every time you use the God card and it doesn't work, you're stealing the trust that people are putting into you. So very good, very good. Lauren, thoughts?
Just I think when you were talking about the pastor and not being able to make that decision, I think the thing when you're in leadership, you not always going to be making a popular decision.
That's right.
But through that, he could have made the decision and stopped the sin, because that's what was happening. He wasn't cutting off the sin, which then stopped restoration.
That's right.
So he then, instead of taking him out of sin, joined him in his sin.
By keeping it silent, yeah.
And I think as leaders, we have to understand that we will not always be popular, but you can do it in a way that maintains the relationship and the respect. And then eventually you'll see that will, restoration will happen, and that people will look back and go, thank you for making that decision. Even though it was tough and it outed me, it made me look bad, I'm now in a better place.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I think,
Excellent.
you have to be confident in being able to do that.
Yeah. Got to bite the bullet sometimes. Cosmo.
Yeah, I think when you were talking about there's not always going to be a right and a wrong decision. Sometimes both look like right, and I think we live in such a world where everything's black or white. It's like what we do in this situation where the decisions are both right, and the fact is whatever one's godly, but there are going to come to the time where it's not just going to be trying to burst myself with that. It's because, and I think that's good for me, because I'm always looking for the black and white, obviously this is the decision to go with, but yeah,
It's good. And I think the other thing is working out which one's the right decision. How do you work out it's a tough decision both ways. If I do this, if I do that, if I do this, and there's consequences both ways. How do you do it? Well, play out the scenario. Leaders are good at making the scenario. So you got to go, if I choose this, I'm going to hurt this person and annoy that person, and these people will be fine. If I do this, I'm going to hurt this person and no one else. If I do this, you know what I mean? So it's write out scenarios, think it through, weigh it out, use your brain, weigh it before the Lord, and what will happen is he will give you a righter decision. That's not proper English, I know, all right? But it's not wrong and it's not right, it's just more right. It's righter than the other decision, all right? Luwayne? Communication?
I think that's what we much more because I lack with that.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to my kids.
Sure.
Yes, it was spoken and I knew that. Feel good.
Great.
When it comes to
Thank you.
communicating with kids.
Yeah, no, we've got to make you communicate well. Irene?
We might take how you can use the leadership style to come out with good decision making. Like maybe God has given you all this, when you're faced with any difficulty, I mean there is motivation or direction.
Yes.
Now you can combine all this, bring out the good decision.
Very good. Beautiful. Excellent. Kumar, leave us with wisdom. Are you ready? Are you ready? Come on, he's going to speak now.
Well, for me, definitely decision making and bringing change, especially where I'm at now, what I'm doing here. I would really like to know my story, where you walk around, look at the lay of the land, use that to bring change,
Yes.
and then
Great.
and able to use that to volunteers, what I deal with, what's already there, and able to effectively use that collective wisdom to make that decision. I think that's the takeaway.
Absolutely. Good. Well done. Thank you for that. And whenever you are called into a new position where there's so much change, and I shared this with you, it's just start with one thing. So just pace out the change, otherwise you're going to move too quickly. So do one at a time or a couple at a time, and that's it, so that people can catch up with it. So you can take people with you. The moment you go, we're changing all of this, people go, I'm no longer a part of this. But you want to take people with you in change when it comes to leadership. Thank you, everybody. With 1 minute to go, you are dismissed. Don't forget your homework, 2 weeks' time, to speak with one of your leaders and find